To me, I just thought of the way John Danaher explains jujitsu. It's not really about the quantity of the reps. He said, I hate drilling to a number. He said, I refuse to drill to a number. He said, we're going to drill to a technique. He said, I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of this technique until you're doing this technique.
You do the same shit. That's
right.
The same shit.
That's how you get better. It's not the 10,000 reps to be a master of something is kind of bullshit because you can do 10,000 garbage reps of anything.
Of anything.
Yeah.
If you wash the dishes like a dirtbag, you're gonna do everything else like a dirtbag.
You practice how you play, right?
That's the thing. Jesse's saying you can't force it on them, but what you do is you don't give up on them. You just every time you have the opportunity to I'm thinking of the adjective to describe a beacon actually making that little blip. What's an adjective to describe that? I was thinking blip.
It's not bad.
The blipping.
It's a decent.
The blipping. You have to be there as a blipping light of beacons.
Guiding? No, not
At this point, words.
words.
But legit, being there as a beacon of accountability, whether they like it or not, is the best you can do without forcing it on them. And because you can't force it on them, because people are going to choose what they want to do, you can't force the horse to drink that water. All you can do is keep on showing that horse, hey, the water's over there. And if they get lost in the sauce and they're trying to be like, hey, man, so I was thinking, you're like, oh, I like what it is that you're thinking. But like, you look dehydrated and there's water over there. So you showing them that mirror of reflection of accountability is the best you can do when they don't want to heed that accountability, especially the closer they are to you.
Yeah.
Being there is most important because of how fucking rare it is. And when you find it, hold it like a treasure chest because those people aren't going to be there. Those people that will be there are few and far in between.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can count on probably 2 hands, maybe 3. How many people I have that I really...
could go to.
That I really feel like I could pick up a phone or I could, just show up at their doorstep and I think a lot of us are probably like that. Humans were not meant to live in mass populations. We weren't. Our brains were not meant for it.
What is it? The Dunbar number, I think.
I know what you're talking about.
Like where we can only remember like 152 faces or some shit like that.
Right. We were and we're like humans.
Dunbar's number.
There have been some studies done throughout the world where scientists say that humans interact best and operate best in groups around or under 100 people. That they're at their most optimal, if you will, I guess. I don't know what that means, but it does make sense to me that people function worse with more people around. It absolutely makes sense to me.
I think it's that fine balance of being too many people and being inundated with social stimuli and the lack of any sort of social stimuli.
Doesn't that make you think of social media, though? You have like 1,000 followers. Like, I'm close with like 300.
Yeah, but I think it depends on how you use social media.
Of course, but I mean,
to me, I just thought of the way John Danaher explains jujitsu. It's not really about the quantity of the reps. He said, I hate drilling to a number. He said, I refuse to drill to a number. He said, we're going to drill to a technique. He said, I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of this technique until you're doing this technique.
You do the same shit.
That's how you get better. It's not the 10,000 reps to be a master of something is kind of bullshit because you can do 10,000 garbage reps of anything.
Of anything.
Yeah.
If you wash the dishes like a dirtbag, you're gonna do everything else like a dirtbag.
You practice how you play, right? That's what your coach always told you.
That's all we ever talk about. We
Practice
talk
how you
about
play.
if you don't move your feet or don't move your hands or don't do something, the minutia a certain way, then you're going to allow other parts of your life to be slacking off in that same exact way.
I'll throw a shitty combo and Mitch is like, you feel good about that? And I'm like,
Absolutely
like the most.
fucking
Well, I'm like, I want to punch him. Like, you fucking ass.
I'm about to rip a good one off at you, dog. That's what's about to happen.
You feel good about that?
hilarious.
No, I don't feel good about that. It's like, that one. You want to end on that one? No.
Just keeping you honest, that's all. Just keeping you honest.
Real stuff though, that checking of the ego, like I'll intentionally try to entice their ego to be like, go ahead, say something, I dare you. Because it's testing that ego in this moment. So in reality, when life tests their ego, they've at least seen it before.
Yeah.
And they know how to handle that.
Well, how many people didn't get to experience some sort of competitive level of athletics as a kid,
Right.
or some sort of, truly adverse? and I'm not saying people didn't go through shit in their life, but I'm just saying situations like a boot camp, maybe, where you didn't have a fucking option. Like
a voluntary competitive setting.
Like something that on a very intense level, right? Exactly. It builds
when I hear
something.
competitive, I think it's implicit that it's like intense.
Yeah, I think, that's fair. I wouldn't call, I was like thinking about boot camp. I wouldn't necessarily, sports was the thing I thought of because it teaches you individual mental toughness, I think, but it teaches you more so how to be a member of a team.
I was gonna say, you're thinking more of the camaraderie team aspect of it?
I'm thinking more of like I use the boot camp thing because it is literally you waking up every day and testing your own fucking will.
Versus yourself every day.
Versus yourself every goddamn day. You may be competing, but you're not competing consciously
to win. You're not competing to win in a way.
You're competing within yourself.
That's that John Wooden though definition of success, where it's like you should in competition. I think the best competitors: Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. Don't get me started on LeBron though.
Carmelo.
Stop it. We
I'm glad we both stopped what we were thinking.
You just said
RJ Barrett.
You beg for a job. That's why I'm like, dog, you're better than that.
I can be Stephen A. Smith. I know.
I know for a fact you could beat Stephen A. Smith.
Well,
both in the unmitigated gall for you to even the unmitigated gall. Yeah, you're right.
Blasphemous. Oh my God, what a
but like that, it's I don't care what the crowd is saying. I don't care, honestly, what my competitors are saying. I don't care what my coach or my teammates are saying. I care about the standard I hold myself to.
Yeah.
And you won't need your coach to hold you to a standard or your teammates to hold you to a standard or any other external stimuli to hold you to a certain standard if you hold yourself to that certain standard.
Yeah. That's if I could teach kids one thing today. Like that's Mitch, that's a great point because it's really tough. I think a lot of us didn't get somebody to teach us how to do that as a kid. And I think a lot of us, I know at least a handful of people that could have played college athletics in some sort that didn't. And that frankly didn't ever have an outlook to or didn't have a chance
they
to
have
like
the structure,
as far right
the roadmap.
And that's a big piece of it. I think that something like this conversation is the purpose of a podcast like this.
I swear.
It's the absolute purpose because if even 3 or 4 or 5 parents see this and show their kids or kids see this 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds even.
We would have saw that back then.
If I would have seen it, if I would have had some, I just thought that I played sports for fun and I happened to be pretty good.
Right.
Happened to be decent. That's it. I just thought that's what it was. It didn't really come to my thought process that I could have come into my thought process that I maybe could have played at some sort of higher level until I was pretty much past the chance where I could have implemented the things that would have allowed me to do that.
Developmental stage,
you know, not necessarily past the developmental stage, but past a point of return, if you will, as far as being able to get myself ready.
That's what I mean by just the developmental stage.
I mean, I still had more growing to do as an athlete,
100%,
certainly.
right.
But the key, there wasn't enough time.
Bro,
there wasn't
the best
enough time.
example I give is like, there's a part of my ego that I think justifiably so as that competitive athlete that when I see like, let's say even like a Landry playing in the NBA with all these multiple like high level athletes, right?
Yeah. I guarded him. It could be me.
I still talk about how I played against him, boy.
Still talk about it.
He dropped a 30 ball on us.
I guarded him freshman year. No big deal.
But it's one of those things where like I legit remember going to the Pumas practices, open tryouts, and remember his parents they knew the coaches and they had a rapport with them, and there was this understood like roadmap for his entire basketball career.
Yeah.
Then I walk in there getting dropped off, don't even know that you have to pay $300 a month to even play on this team.
Yeah.
And I don't have the same, let's just say, opportunity. And there's parts of my ego that when I used to reflect on those circumstances where I would dwell on the woe is me. Why didn't I have a parent that would do that for me? Why wasn't it apparent to my parents?
Oh, you do this every time.
We can never get too serious. Never. We have to keep it light around here.
But yeah, like it would have been easy to dwell on the woe is me, and it's easy to harp on certain qualities of like what you were talking about, like if we would have had that back, and if we would have had that back in the day, if we would have had those mentors to look up to back in the day, and said it perfectly. That's the only reason I put out a lot of the content I put out is if I was in a position where I could have received that information, I know I would have been a lot better off. Just like the stuff we learn in here. I'm teaching all of my clients, I'm teaching them the shortcuts of the things that I had to spend a lot of time garnering and learning and accumulating so they don't have to. And teaching it in a way where they'll never need that external resource ever again. So they develop that self-sufficiency. And again, bro, it's like when you have the intention behind that, what is there to really hate on at that point?
You're living in truth.
You're living in truth. And when you live in truth, bro, I think that is the true like secret answer and secret formula to life and the secret and all that shit. Like in every religious context and every religious scripture and every sort of self-help culture and AA meetings and all that stuff.
Honesty it's
number
this
one.
number. It's this
number
number.
one. It's living in that truth.